Machiavelli in The Prince taught that in politics, the appearance of virtue matters more than true virtue. Today, his manual seems like a guide to modern success. Consider this. The princes of social media don't need to be wise. They just need to appear trustworthy, charismatic, flawless. They master the art of image just as a Renaissance ruler mastered the court. The modern world rewards these superficial figures because, as Machiavelli said, men judge more by their eyes than by their hands. In an age of screens, where contact is virtual, those who control the image control the power. It's that simple. Machiavelli wasn't speaking of holiness when he coined the term virtù. For him, it was the art of adaptation, the ability to be a lion when strength is needed, a fox when cunning saves, and a chameleon when the context demands discretion. Today, however, we witness a distortion of that concept. The digital princes have turned virtù into a mask. They don't adapt to govern or build. They adapt to sell. Their flexibility isn't strategy. It's liquidity. They dissolve into any trend that generates clicks. They're like actors who change characters with every scene, yet never reveal the face behind the makeup. The problem is that the modern world mistakes this performance for competence. An influencer who changes opinions like changing clothes? That's virtù. A politician who embraces contradictory causes? He's adaptable. But Machiavelli would say, this is cowardice disguised as intelligence. True virtù demands courage to take calculated risks, not to ride fleeting waves. It requires vision, not just a showcase. The superficial ones sell the illusion of mastering the game when, in truth, they're puppets of the algorithm. And here lies the tragic irony. While the false virtuosi collect followers, the truly virtuous remain invisible. Think of the scientist who spends decades in a lab, the teacher who transforms lives without posts, the artisan who preserves ancestral knowledge. They embody the original virtù, perseverance, resilience, depth, but they lack engagement. Why? Because their virtue doesn't fit into a second reel. It can't be aestheticized. It doesn't sell. The modern world rewards Instagram virtù, shiny, disposable, and as fake as a filter. Machiavelli also warned, the prince who relies solely on appearances ends up hanged by his own rope. Today's superficial figures live that anxiety. They know their power is fragile, built on the quicksand of likes. One scandal, one algorithm change, one new trend, and their kingdom collapses. True virtù, however, grows roots. It's like an oak tree, slow to grow, but resilient to storms. The superficial ones are fireworks. They burst in color, but leave only ashes. So the question remains, are we celebrating virtù or its caricature? Machiavelli would say the modern world is full of poor students. They copied cunning but forgot wisdom. They imitate strength but ignore ethics. They play at being princes but don't understand that true power doesn't lie in image. It lies in the ability to transform reality. Machiavelli compared fortune to a mighty river. When it overflows, it devours everything in its path. Only those who build dikes before the flood survive. Today, that river has a name, the algorithm. And the superficial ones, they're skilled swimmers, but not builders. They ride the current of trends, master the art of showing up in the right place, at the right time, with the right phrase. But when the river changes course, and it always does, they drown. Why? Because they mistake luck for power. The modern world rewards these surfers of fortune because they sell the illusion of control. Consider this. A viral video depends less on content and more on timing, on the meme of the moment, on algorithmic chance. It's like rolling dice and shouting genius when you hit a 6. The superficial ones are masters at this. They turn coincidences into strategies, luck into merit. But Machiavelli would say, that's arrogance. True wisdom lies in anticipating floods and building dikes. In other words, in creating something solid that withstands fortune's whims. And here's the trap. Digital fortune is volatile. Today you're the king of TikTok. Tomorrow, forgotten. The superficial live in constant panic, needing to reinvent themselves every week to avoid being swept away. They're like poker players bluffing without aces, impressive while luck smiles, but they collapse when the deck turns. Meanwhile, the dike builders, the writer patiently weaving a book, The activist planting saplings year after year, the artist mastering their craft, are ignored. Their fortune doesn't come from chance, but from persistence. So, the superficial mistreat digital fortune with aggression, hunt trends like predators, manipulate emotions like puppeteers. But do they dominate it? No, they merely serve it. They are slaves to their own luck. True mastery lies in taming fortune, not in being its doormat. And that requires patience, strategy, and long-term vision. All things the instant world despises. The result is a cruel irony. We celebrate the winners of the moment as if they were immortal. We reward those who dance on the razor's edge, forgetting that the edge cuts. The superficial shine like fireworks. They light up the night for seconds, then turn to smoke. But those who build dikes, they're like stars. They don't shout, but they guide navigators for centuries. The modern world may applaud the fleeting spectacle, but as Machiavelli said, glory that depends on fortune is like a flower on ice. It lasts until the first sun. Machiavelli said that the ideal prince must be both lion and fox. A lion to scare off wolves, a fox to avoid traps. Today, that duo has become the formula for easy success on social media and in mass culture. The digital princes roar like lions with arrogant posts, bombastic speeches, and a confidence bordering on aggression. At the same time, they whisper like foxes, manipulating algorithms, using deceptive marketing strategies, and changing ideas with the wind. They are masters of seeming strong without being so, of seeming clever without thinking. The problem is that the modern world mistakes this performance for leadership. An influencer who humiliates followers? He's a lion, he has personality. A businessman who cheats and sells himself as a visionary? He's a fox, so smart. But Machiavelli would say, this is a caricature, not virtue. The true lion has strength to protect, not to intimidate. The true fox has cunning to build, not to deceive. The superficial ones, however, have turned the lion into a buffoon and the fox into a charlatan. They are circus animals, not creatures of the wild. And here's the trap. Those who try to be only lions, honest, direct, brutal, are devoured alive. Think of the artist who refuses filters and shows their flaws, labeled amateur. The professional who speaks uncomfortable truths, branded toxic. Meanwhile, those who are only foxes, cunning but hollow, go unnoticed. The world rewards the fusion of both frauds, the lion who barks loudly and the fox who deceives with a smile. It's the recipe for the perfect influencer, fierce in self-promotion, sly in manipulation. Machiavelli also warned, the prince who relies only on strength, lion, falls into traps. The one who relies only on cunning, fox, fails to intimidate enemies. Today's superficial figures have found a shortcut, bluffing. Their lion is a digital growl, empty threats, story-time bravado, calculated controversies. Their fox is a magic trick, stolen data, scripted speeches, rehearsed authenticity. They don't master reality, they master the appearance of mastery. Like stage magicians, they dazzle while the assistant, the audience, is deceived. The result? A generation of false princes who shine like stars but fade like candles. Their power is a house of cards. One scandal, the trap the fox didn't see, or one crisis, the wolf the lion couldn't scare, and it all collapses. Meanwhile, the true lions and foxes, the activist who risks their skin for a cause, the thinker who navigates complexity with subtlety, are ignored. Why? Because their strength isn't a spectacle. Their cunning isn't viral. Machiavelli would say the modern world is full of poor imitators. They copied the shape of the lion and the fox, but lost the essence. The true lion has courage, the false one has arrogance. The true fox has wisdom, the false one has malice. And in the end, as always, truth prevails. The paper lion dissolves in the rain. The glass fox shatters when it falls. Easy success. Just another illusion sold at the counter of appearances. Machiavelli was brutally honest about the people. They are driven by passion, not reason. They prefer spectacle over substance, easy promises over necessary sacrifice. Today, that truth echoes like a digital thunderclap. The superficial triumph because they understand what Machiavelli knew 500 years ago. To win over the masses, you don't need to convince, just enchant. Just offer bread with butter, or better yet, likes with filters. The modern people, us, are prisoners of our own hunger for ease. Consider this: a politician who proposes complex solutions, boring. An influencer who sells ready-made dreams, inspirational. A thinker who questions comfortable truths, negative. But someone who offers canned phrases, flawless live streams, and targeted hate becomes a phenomenon. Why? Because the people, as Machiavelli said, are more impressed by what appears to be than by what is. And the superficial is pure appearance, shiny, fast, painless. The superficial are masters at turning complexity into intellectual fast food. They take serious topics, politics, health, relationships, and reduce them to slogans, memes, and 5 steps to happiness. It's like giving sugar to a hungry child, satisfying for a moment, but zero nourishment. The people swallow it because thinking hurts. Analyzing nuance is tiring. Questioning requires courage. And the modern world, with its overdose of stimuli, has trained us to be lazy. We prefer the anesthetic to the bitter medicine. Machiavelli warned, "The prince who ignores the people's passion for ease loses the throne." Today's digital princes don't ignore it, they exploit it. They know the people prefer a clear villain to hate over a complex problem to solve, prefer a perfect hero to idolize over a flawed human to understand. So they sell easy enemies, the system, the others, the haters, and miraculous solutions. Buy my course, follow my method. It's the Roman circus updated, bread and circus, now with Wi-Fi. And here lies the tragedy. The people know they're being deceived, but pretend not to. Why? Because illusion is comfortable. We love to believe life can be solved with a filter, that happiness fits in a post, that success is viral. The superficial give us permission to be superficial. They say, don't worry, don't think, don't feel too much, just consume. And we, like children before a shop window, hand over our attention, our time, our soul. Machiavelli would call this collective weakness. A people who trade freedom for security, or depth for entertainment, deserve to be ruled by tyrants. Today, our tyrants are algorithms, trends, influencers who sell air as oxygen. The result? A society of digital zombies, connected but empty, informed but ignorant, entertained but bored. The people cry out for authenticity, but reward the farce, demand truth, but applaud the spectacle. In the end, as the Florentine said, the people are ungrateful, fickle, hypocritical. But perhaps the harshest truth is this: the people are a mirror. They reflect what they reward. If the modern world is full of superficial figures on the throne, it's because we crowned them ourselves. Every like, every share, every minute of attention to triviality is a vote in the democracy of appearance. And as long as we remain passionate about ease, we will continue to be subjects, not of princes, but of our own laziness. Machiavelli knew that any throne won without virtue is a throne of swords, dazzling but dangerous. Today, however, thrones are made of glass. Modern superficial figures sit on them with perfect smiles, ignoring that every step could be their last. Why? Because their power doesn't come from roots, but from reflections. Not from achievements, but from projections. And glass, my friends, breaks. The first price of the glass throne is the slavery of appearance. The influencer who lives for likes is a prisoner of their own feed. The politician who depends on trending topics is a hostage to the algorithm. They don't govern. They are governed by the need to maintain the illusion. Machiavelli would say, this is the opposite of freedom. The true prince has the power to act. The superficial one only has the power to perform. And performance, as we know, demands infinite energy. One day, the body and soul give in. The second price is existential fragility. Glass thrones don't withstand storms. A scandal? Shattered. An algorithm change? Cracks. A new trend? Collapse. The superficial live in constant panic, needing to reinvent themselves weekly to avoid becoming digital dust. They are like acrobats without a net, impressive while they balance, but the ground is unforgiving. Machiavelli would call this vainglory, shining like gold, but vanishing like smoke. The third price, the cruelest, is the emptiness of legacy. What remains when the glass throne breaks? Nothing. The superficial build houses of cards, fast fame, easy money, cheap applause. But when the wind of reality blows, only shards remain. Contrast that with the stone builders, the scientist who leaves discoveries, the teacher who leaves disciples, the artist who leaves a body of work. They may not have thrones, but they have legacies. Machiavelli would say, true immortality lies not in image, but in impact. And here lies the supreme irony. The superficial know their throne is fragile. That's why they cling to it desperately. They post more, shout more, manipulate more. The more fragile the glass, the more frantic the pose. It's like the naked king in Andersen's tale. Everyone sees the nudity, but no one dares speak. The modern world applauds the naked king because it's easier to accept the illusion than to face the truth. Machiavelli also warned, the prince who fails to prepare successors hands his kingdom to chaos. The superficial, however, cannot prepare successors because they have no kingdom, only spectacle. When they fall, and they always fall, the vacuum is immediate. Another face, another hashtag, another illusion takes their place. It's a cycle of rapid, disposable replacement, like plastic packaging. The cost? The devaluation of the very essence of power. In the end, the glass throne reveals a forgotten Machiavellian truth. Power without substance is death. The superficial may reign for a season, but they pay with their soul. They trade depth for visibility, roots for spotlights, eternity for 15 minutes of fame. And when the glass shatters, as it always does, only the echo of one question remains. Was it worth it? Machiavelli would say no. The true prince builds with iron and stone. The false one? With glass and fear. And while the world continues to crown these cardboard kings, remember, every glass throne has a certain destiny. The fall. And the worst part isn't the fall. It's the silence that follows. Because when the spectacle ends, only emptiness remains.